Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Good evening to a Philadelphia Phillies post-game show.
A victory post-game show, Jamie.
Yes, stole the victory out of the teeth of the Atlanta Braves. Tremendous win, one of the best wins of the season, Renee, in a pretty big situation as this team needed this. I mean, this is. I don't want to make too much of a, late August, early September singular game, but it does feel like this was pretty monumental for them to go down to Matt Olson, and we'll get into all the game as they did, and he was hitting moonshots all over the field, to come back on the backs of Brandon Marsh and Nick Castellanos. This feels like a huge win. And welcome into the postgame show. It's presented by Bet365 and our friends at Miller Lite. It's never ordinary at Bet365. And tonight, the Miller Lights ring the bell, as
Cheers.
they say here. We're $1. And it was a great evening here, sharing some Miller Lights with everyone. And a great atmosphere as the Phillies pull it off. And there's your players of the game, Brandon Marsh and Nick Castellanos.
Everybody let out a nice exhale.
That was a big playoff reaction to the Castellanos home run.
Huge game for Nick Castellanos and Brandon Marsh, exactly as we all predicted, of course, right, guys? To see both of them go 2 for 4. You see the 3-run 5-4.
I said 5-3 in the pregame.
Oh, you did say 5-3.
Thanks, Matt Olson.
So if we're being technical, I said 7-2, so I had 9 runs scored and 5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're gonna do it that way.
5-4 is still 9 runs scored, so I still had the right amount of overall runs.
Yeah.
I just had them broken up differently.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I don't mind being wrong as long as the Phillies won Game 1. Another series opening win. Brandon Marsh, who we have been ready to exile and been very frustrated with, and even we're talking about pregame. Huge opportunity for him to show why you can rely on Brandon Marsh. 2 for 4, the 3-run homer. Nick Castellanos continues to be Cassie clutch. And now you start off the series after an awful game last night that we don't even remember at this point, with a huge win over the Braves.
Last night? That
this is
didn't happen.
definitely a steal because it looked like, honestly, everything was in favor of the Braves until Nick Castellanos, the one we can always count on, right? Comes through, delivers, and then from there on, the Phillies played themselves back into it.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Castellanos, I know Alex Coffey had a story maybe last week or early this week, whatever it was, about Nick Castellanos being the team's Mr. Consistent.
He is.
And in a clubhouse full of consistent figures and veterans who have been around the block and been through everything in Major League Baseball, it is pretty funny that Nick Castellanos might be the most consistent guy. Not in terms of his play, but just in terms of, like, who he is. Wants to play every day. You know he's going to be in right field. You know he's going to be the same guy if he's doing well or he's doing bad. Kind of never gets too high, never gets too low type of guy, and always just keeps that, like, even keel. I am who I am. And that consistency pays off over the long course of a season. And he's been, 2.5 months now of, like, really good baseball. And it's nice to see him get that moment tonight.
And honestly, when you think about, for both of them, and we'll start with Nick first as you're talking through his consistency, that is what you need in a team that's very good. You have your superstars, you have Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, but to have a guy like Nick, he's just as important in this lineup because he's someone that, to be honest, you expect to make big plays. It's been him, it's been Alec Bohm. I know we'll talk about him exiting the game. And the x-rays that he was able to get immediately. But for Nick Castellanos to be a guy, he's your everyday right fielder. He's a veteran. He's a quiet leader, and you need those types of players that are in the kind of the middle of the pack. He's not one of your bottom struggling guys. He's not one of your heavy hitters that jump off the page. But he's a role player, and what he does consistently for this team is the reason why they're top in baseball. And he finds a way. It's not always flashy or pretty, to find gaps to hit into, to spray the ball in his spaces, to just score runs, to keep the inning alive, to do whatever it takes. He makes some good plays in right field. So I love the fact that Nick has had this kind of full 180 from where he started at the beginning of the season, even last season, to now to be a guy that when he steps up, you feel like something good's going to happen. And the Phillies have struggled with runners in scoring position. Definitely left a lot of men on base and keeping guys stranded. But Nick has been one of the bright spots of consistency. And it leads to wins. He's making now game-winning plays, game-changing plays that we've seen time after time.
Oh, Tuesday
it's been
night.
fun to watch.
Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, I was down there with the family on Tuesday night. Great seats in section 115. Some seats that we gave away here tonight at Top Tomato with our friends Miller Lite. So we gave out some of those same seats, and great vantage point to see Nick Castellanos. He's seen the most breaking balls since the All-Star break in Major League Baseball, and he's adjusted. Whether it's kind of the himbo thing that he says after the game of like, and this is what I mean by consistent. You're going to get that when he's struggling. You're going to get it when, and he's just like, I just kind of don't really have an approach. I just more or less hit the ball. I'm a baseball player. And that is him, as weird as it may be, and it doesn't work for everybody. It certainly works for him.
Yeah.
So to see him kind of give this team on a homestand as the calendar turns to September, an extra jolt at home. Hopefully Liam's in the stands,
I hope so.
Because get that kid to every playoff game. But it's great to see. And Brandon Marsh, too. Another guy that struggled mightily over the last month. Started turning things around in Kansas City over the weekend. And now, he hits another one to the wall tonight that ends up being a double. We'll get into the after effects of that because that was some dumb stuff. But he has turned a corner now. And I think offensively, almost everyone is back.
Yeah.
And you're starting to really feel good about the Phillies again. Finally.
Yeah.
After a long time.
I mean, the thing is, when you think about both of them, Brandon Marsh is a guy that started off the season playing spectacular.
Yeah, he was an all-star, we talked
he was
about.
an all-star.
For
I
the
remember
first month
us
of the year.
talking through because at the beginning of the season, we weren't seeing Brandon Marsh as an everyday outfielder. He was still proving himself. He was still working in. We were still seeing a lot of days off for Brandon Marsh and wanted more of Brandon Marsh out there because we just noticed he was one of the guys that it was the swagger, it was the energy, it was the stay loose and sexy vibes. It was like everything that this team needed in the beginning of the season. That they were riding off of that high that Brandon Marsh brought out of him making plays. He's got the hair wet, like all the little things. And then he had such a big slump. But as we know and as we expected, a slump was going to happen. I mean, that's natural. But to see him working out of this to a point now where you make a big play like this is a playoff type game. And you make that 3-run home run, smash the ball out of the ballpark, get guys home, you take the lead, you win the game. This is so huge. Even as we talk about, and we know winning this game was big, but to have this game won by Brandon Marsh is even bigger because every guy's had their moments. Like you think about it, we've had Kyle Schwarber had a grand slam, Trey Turner had July, Bryce Harper had his walk-off, Nick Castellanos has had several moments, Alec Bohm's had, like every guy's now had their moments they can point to recently of I won us this game. And that's the type of confidence building where now you step to base, and as Nick was mentioning the other day, like you unclench the hands a little bit, you relax a little bit more because you're winning, because you're doing the right thing. So love the fact that today it was Brandon Marsh's turn, and JT's had his moments. Like everybody through the lineup now, Jamie, recently has had their big game-winning moments. This is what we saw in the beginning of the season for the Phillies. Yeah,
and Bryce got his walk-off moment the other day. It does feel like he's due for a tear. Like we're still on the cusp of that, 7-day period where Bryce Harper just carries the team. Offensively tonight, for the first 3 innings, it was like another no-hit performance type of vibe.
I was very nervous.
And I was just like, oh no, don't tell me that we've reverted back. But that's why this is so big. It's the first game of a big series, the biggest series of the year, frankly, versus the team on your heels with a chance to distance yourself. And you move that 5-game lead to a 6-game lead tonight. And that feels really good. But it started out, I was feeling quite negative in the beginning. Luckily, we had some great friends and some diehards here. Shout out to Timbo Slice for making the trek out here.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to meet some great people. So, that was keeping me up and positive. But inside, I was a scared little boy oh, no, the Phillies are reverting back to what they have been for the past 6 weeks. This is terrible.
It's natural to feel the nerves, Jamie, because I was feeling it too. Especially, I'm not going to lie, guys. I can be honest. This is a safe space for family. After yesterday's game, you guys know I was not that optimistic because we have seen throughout this, not even just this season, and not even just with the Phillies, we've seen notoriously in Philly sports history these moments of this one life-changing moment for the season. And I was so happy that the Phillies felt like they were coming out of a slump to then get shut out yesterday. I was like, oh no, is this going to put us back in a bad place? So the first innings of this game, I literally was saying, this is Taiwan's fault. This is yesterday's fault. I'm blaming yesterday.
I know, and I was thinking of my words yesterday.
We're
like,
damn it! This is all because of yesterday.
They're not going to carry it over. And then I'm like, oh no, did you really say that yesterday? Oh no.
1,000% felt like they were carrying it over. So then once they broke through, because it even took them a while to get they had one hit going into like the fifth inning.
It was straight up
Like
terrible.
It took a long time for the Phillies offense to wake up. But they woke up, guys. In the chat, I did want to give some love really quickly because we got a lot of folks.
I have a question about Ben Davis being in the
us.
dugout tonight.
And his milk. So K-Red, Philly 007, MBDBDBF, and Lisa. What's up, guys? And you guys are saying, MPTR saying, seriously, the best game of the year.
It does
MBD
kind of feel like
is saying we are back. Liam Stevens, not Castellanos.
Oh, I was like, Liam Castellanos in the chat?
Saying how it felt like a much-needed W. I know all the excitement is there. Vince, what's up, Vince? Saying, let's go. Marsh in glorified batting practice as 0 for 5 wit, as Casper's reminding us. And then there are some questions about Alec Bohm.
We didn't mush him. This is a post-game victory show. Look at us.
There are some questions about Alec Bohm's status, as well as talking through Trey Turner's third inning error. We'll get there. We'll talk about it, Seth.
Yeah, we'll keep
now,
an eye
we're on the
Rob.
good. But Seth F is bringing up the milk because we did see Ben with the 4 bottles of whole milk. You know how I feel about milk.
You love milk.
I love milk, guys. I was like salivating
so
looking at
we
that.
couldn't hear. So if somebody in the chat wants to share with us why Ben Davis was in the dugout.
He likes milk. Why he's in the dugout, that I don't know. I know that
4 bottles of milk. But
so I remember in another broadcast, they were talking about how much he loves milk and how he drinks milk all the time.
Okay.
He's similar, to me.
Yeah.
Because we just drink milk by, like, the glass. But I don't know why they thought it was funny. I don't know why he's in the dugout.
Why he's in the dugout all game?
Well, I know Taryn's doing a different game tonight.
Oh, he must have been Taryn.
So I think he's Taryn.
She's doing college football, right?
Yeah, she's doing the Rutgers opener.
So he was Taryn tonight?
I guess he's Taryn, but...
And then the milk was just like a joke?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right, moving on. I don't want to spend too much time. I did just write that down. Like, why is Ben Davis in the dugout?
I don't like spilled milk. I don't like wasted milk. And 4 bottles of milk, he better have drank every single drop of that because you don't drink milk warm.
Well, Renee, if he needed some, I don't know, new milk money, you could go to Bet365 and get yourself ready over there. And they, of course, are our presenting sponsor tonight. So thank you to Miller Lite and Bet365 for sponsoring the show. But what I did have tonight was a bunch of these cold, delicious domestic cans right here in front of me. Ring the bell, drink Miller Lite. And it was great. Tons of people were here. We got to meet some new diehards, some friends of the show. And everybody, I was like, hey, $1 Miller Lites, go get one. And when friends and family are around, it's a great time, especially when you're getting come from behind victories at a Phillies game. I was down there the other night at the game. Miller Lite, no doubt about it. The guy walked right by me. I said, yes, sir, please. Didn't even have to get up. It's cold, refreshing, and the original light beer since 1975. And to this day, it's still the best one. Why? Because they haven't messed around with it. They held on to what matters most and got rid of everything you don't need. And what you're left with is a perfect light beer that tastes like light beer should. It's only 96 calories, and the original light beer since 1975 until this day, to this day, it's still the best one because they keep it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975, and you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. It's both. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, go to MillerLite.com/PHLY Phillies, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Only 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
I know MPTR is saying, I should have been in the dugout, and you bet your bottom dollar I should have for the milk alone. I should have been there. But also, if you're looking to place a bet somewhere and have some fun, you can do so at BetParks Sportsbook. Because, guys, this weekend, as we got a chance to and get a chance to watch the Phillies versus the Braves in this 4-game series, we get the NFL around the corner. That's next weekend that we're having the Eagles opener.
Yeah.
Next Friday out in Brazil. We've got NFL's back, football is here, college football's already started, and the one and only sportsbook app that I ever recommend is BetParks. The BetParks sportsbook app allows you to have the opportunity with their online casino for all the fun at your fingertips. They've got some great offers for new customers to kick off the upcoming pro football season. So with an amazing 50-1 odds boost on your pick to win this year's NFL Super Bowl championship. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? Who's going to win it? If you go now and you take advantage and you put down a bet for who you think is winning it all, Eagles, clearly, you have a 50-1 odds boost on your pick. Now, all new users who sign up and make a deposit receive a 50-1 super odds boost. So go now to BetParks.com. All the terms and conditions do apply, but get your odds boosted to 50-1. Yes, 50-1. Did I say that enough times? And then, of course, you have all of the favorites. The Eagles are a favorite, but also some other teams. The Chiefs, nah. San Francisco, nah. Baltimore, Detroit, Cincinnati, no. It's Eagles season to win. So download the BetParks Sportsbook and online casino app right now. Get your 50-1 super odds boost on your pick for this year's Super Bowl champion. This is a limited time offer for new customers only. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. You must be 21 and you've got to be in either Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet at BetParks. And if you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, I want to comment on a couple comment on the comments in the chat. It seems like a really dumb way to say that. I want to talk.
Comment on the comments.
Comment on the comments. I'm going to comment on the comments real quick.
Yeah. Talk about the
interesting
comments.
one. Jackie Moon says people are going to talk about the home runs, but the best moment in the game was the Harper bunt. We need less selfish players that are willing to do that. Okay, I did write down the Bryce Harper bunt as a point of emphasis.
What did you think about it?
I understand Jackie Moon's point, and she, they is correct. That is a very selfless move with the game on the line. You only need one run. No outs. You get a guy in second. I agree with fundamental small ball baseball there. Mm-hmm. And I know Bryce Harper isn't Bryce Harper right now, but, and this could be my caveman yells at the sun and sky forever, eternity. I might never get over that. I hate when it's your best player. I understand it's selfless, and it's good for the team and all that, and you get a guy in runner in scoring position, but it ended up not mattering.
Yeah. What would you have rather seen in that moment?
I mean, it would have been cool if Bryce had the opportunity to hit the go-ahead home run there. But I don't know. I personally hate it. We'll let Tyler chime in because he's on the opposite of me. How did you feel about it? I hate when you take most situations where you take the bat out of your best player's hands, I usually just vehemently disagree with, although I can kind of understand things.
So I know in the chat, actually, Linda and Bam Man are saying how they also like the bunt as well. I think
it's a smart play.
What Jackie Moon is adding to it is players need to do what they can to win the game,
absolutely.
And who cares? Bryce isn't having any power right now. I do feel
all
like
valid points.
When we look at bunting, it's become synonymous with players that are struggling at the plate. Like we look at if you can't hit, bunt. If you're struggling, bunt. So it's seen as a weakness almost to bunt. And
even though it's a really hard thing to do, it's
very
funny.
difficult to do. So I do feel like, I don't know, I don't really have a preference either way. I think what I like is the fact that they tried something different. You guys know I'm team try. I am team try now. It's the regular season. Now's the time to try. Bryce Harper is no exception to that.
And to that point, there's a degree of the Braves not expecting it probably
exactly. It's
there.
very unpredictable. Yeah. You'd expect it from Johan Rojas. You'd expect it from Garrett Stubbs when he's out there. Or, there's guys that you think and know they're going to bunt.
Lisa
Bryce
said
Harper's
he's not producing, so bunt and give the team a chance.
So I
that
do
is all correct.
feel like it's selfless in that sense,
it
but
is.
I do agree with your point and understand your point of,
ooh, your best player, you're taking the bat out of his hand. Let's head over to the nerd research department, who I cannot see because our stage lights are very bright, but I know you're over there.
That's probably for the best, quite frankly. I mean, you don't get to see me. They don't. The viewers don't want to see me.
They're so upset.
Nobody wants to see me.
What are your thoughts on the sack bunt there? I know you're pro.
So here's my thing. First and foremost, I don't think it was a sack bunt in a traditional give up the out sacrifice bunt.
He almost beat it out.
I think he was bunting for a base hit.
Okay. I think that's fair.
With that being said, the Phillies were clearly in that situation in play for one run mode so that you can basically reset this game, tie it up. You would have made it 4-4 at the time.
Yeah, would have tied it. Yeah.
And so you're playing for one run. in that situation, which I have absolutely no issue with. It's a live to fight another day, or in this particular case, a live to fight another inning situation.
Yeah.
Do you want your star, your best player bunting routinely in that situation?
No, never.
Probably not. However, I think in this particular situation, it made sense. Harper has been, he's kind of come out of the funk recently, but he was struggling mightily for quite some time. You're kind of playing into a lot of different things. Maybe it was a surprise. He was probably trying to bunt for a hit. But at the end of the day, what he did was beneficial to the team by moving a runner into scoring position. Yes, they've struggled with runners in scoring position, for a little bit now. But you gave your team an opportunity to tie the game when you needed to tie the game
It's
the
selfless.
most. The most important run for the Phillies in this game
was the
next one.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't have an issue with this. Do I want to see him do it routinely? I don't. But I don't have an issue with it in this particular situation. It gets wiped because Castellanos hits the home run, and it doesn't matter. But a base hit then scores the run. A wild pitch moves the guy out to third, and then a sac fly scores the run. Those type of situations are always playing in baseball players' heads. I don't have a problem with this at all in this. I think it was a pretty selfless move. It
was immediately followed by a base running blunder. Correct? Do I have that chronologically
different-
right?
oh,
that was
different
different inning.
By the way, people can see Tyler, so
Yes, I
they're happy
saw
that they
that,
can
yeah.
see you. But I think to your point, Tyler, it's game management.
I do have to just be careful because there are TVs behind me, and you can see other post games.
Oh yeah, because I see Ruben Amaro over your shoulder.
Who are you talking about? There's no other post game show. This is the only one.
But it is very selfless. And on the reverse, to your point, Jamie, like on one side, you don't want your best player with the bat out of his hands, but on the other side, what message does that send to your team if your best player is batting to do what's best for the game in that moment? And so, I see both sides.
I don't disagree with it. I just hate.
I like the fact that the Phillies are tinkering and trying things. And because we saw last year they did not implement small ball, and when they needed it, they couldn't in the postseason. Now is the time. Try some small ball. Even Bryce. See if you can bunt and see what you can get out of it. So, it was just also a very odd play because you just weren't expecting it. But
yeah, totally.
That's why.
Manager Rob Thompson is at the podium now discussing the game. The important update here, obviously, Renee, Tyler, is going to be Alec Bohm and what that was. It's always weird or concerning, I should say, when you see the injury happen on a somewhat routine play.
Yeah.
And there's no real sign of trauma, because that always tells me something internally went bad. So Alec Bohm in the first or second inning just kind of turned his wrist over on one and immediately winced. You saw it on the replay. They checked him out behind. I don't know if it was the wrist or a bone up here, but they were really working on it. He toughed it out the rest of the at bat. Went right down the tunnel with the trainers, came back out, took the field, and then had to leave.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I
Hopefully
mean,
something minor.
You saw it on the swing with his left hand. They did take x-rays. The x-rays were negative, which is encouraging. That's what the Phillies reported.
I wasn't really concerned about bones there, to be
I'm not
honest with
either.
you.
That's, that's the thing. X-rays have to be done first before you get MRIs, which I always hate. I think it's one of the stupidest things. In 2024, can we fix that, healthcare? But he did get the x-ray. It's not a bone issue.
Put that on a long line of things we need to fix in American healthcare, Renee.
I cannot stand.
You
know for a fact this is a ligament, this is a tendon, this is a muscular issue, and we got to get x-rays, and we're wasting time. But he did get an x-ray, and it was negative. So now we wait to see what else is the report for Alec Bohm. I do feel your sentiments, Jamie. It's extremely concerning.
Yeah.
And then also he tried to come back.
And then,
you saw that. Yeah. He had it. He had the tape. He had the wristband guard. He had everything there.
Yeah.
And what makes it more concerning now, depending on what it is, you have 28 games now left. You have about a month. Could give you time to heal,
sure.
But it is concerning because Alec Bohm, as we talk about consistency,
I mean, he's probably
as of
the
late,
team MVP this year.
As of late, the last couple games has been a little bit more rocky. We saw the first inning issue. He's going through some struggles, and I know some people may think it's because of his dating life.
Right? Everybody else went through it.
I don't think it's his dating life. I think he's just hitting a wall like everybody else does. But he has been one of your most consistent guys, and so that is absolutely concerning because his third base play has been phenomenal. His at-bats have been really good. And, I know JK12345 saying Bohm's going to be all right. And
I hope so.
I hope because we need that dude. And I agree. We need that dude. We like Alec Bohm out there. We like what he brings, especially with RBIs. He's one of the best players with runners in scoring position. And the Phillies, especially as of late, have struggled with that. So
Yeah, they have. So hopefully Rob will give an update here of they don't think it's that serious. It was the second inning. He left with left-hand discomfort, they're calling it. I always hate discomfort. Well, Alec, wait until you get old. Everything becomes discomfort.
literally everything. Get out of bed, discomfort.
I think
Walking downstairs, discomfort.
I think I tore my labrum sleeping. My shoulder is just toast. I couldn't give you 2 innings if I needed to.
You lost your voice doing what, Jamie?
Well, I was showing Skylar how to properly boo Jose Altuve the other night.
What's your excuse today for losing your voice?
It's when I lose my voice in stages. So it starts with yelling, and then it holds on for a little bit, and then I can feel it kind of get raspy, and then I'm not gonna lose it, but it's at a point now where it's quite weak. And I had to show my 5-year-old daughter how you boo a cheater. So I think it was a warranted boo. And Aaron Nola gave a stellar performance, so I gave him a big Atta-guy Nola stand up and cheer. And it doesn't take much for me to lose my voice at all.
Way to sacrifice for the team. You're basically like Bryce Harper. You
Yeah,
sacrifice your
basically.
voice to teach Skylar how to boo.
Yeah.
And these are important things in life.
I'm sacrificing my body for this team. Here, you want to hear a little stat now? This is courtesy of Nick Kesh on Twitter.
Ooh.
Current NFL. I got football on the brain. It's close. Current NL playoff teams combined record against the other 5 NL playoff teams as of now if the playoffs ended right this second. Anybody want to take a guess?
Wait,
don't
what was
look.
the first part of it?
All right, you and Tyler are on the clock here. It's the current NL playoff teams, which are the Phillies, if the season ended right now, Phillies, Padres, Braves, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Brewers. Those are your teams, and their records against the other NL playoff teams. So how they fared against the other.
Calculate as a total?
Okay.
Or an
So
average?
the Phillies are 5-1 against the Dodgers.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm not even asking you to guess the record, but I'm just asking you to guess the win percentage. Who's number one?
I was like, what is the number? Okay.
Who's the best of this group versus the other playoff teams in the NL?
It's
That's what I'm trying to put together, the Phillies win
the
percentage.
Padres.
Final answer?
I don't know. I'm just going gut.
If you
Tyler's
do it,
going all analytical.
if you do it one by one, the Phillies are 5-1 against the Dodgers. They are.
See, the Phillies have only done well against the Dodgers.
They won the first
Not
series
the
against the Diamondbacks. They lost the second series against the Diamondbacks.
Chase Field is a
Correct.
house of
It's a
horrors that should be blown up. Yep.
So I'm removing the Phillies from this answer.
The Brewers, I know they won at least 2 of 3 earlier in the summer, but it might have been a sweep. I don't remember.
Padres.
The Phillies, it's pretty good. I'm going to say they're not 1, but the Phillies are pretty good.
So you're going 2?
I think they're 2.
And Renee, you think it's the Padres?
Yeah.
Well, ladies and
Is somebody
gentlemen,
right?
to the viewers watching, neither of you are right because
the
the
Diamondbacks.
Phillies have the best record versus the 5 other NL playoff teams right now. They are 20-12 combined against the 5 other playoff teams with a .625 win percentage. Number 2 is your San Diego Padres with a .550 win percentage. They're 22-18. Then the Braves. This is where it kind of gets, to me, a little telling. The remaining 4 teams are all below 500. So the Phillies being a 62 win percentage click against playoff teams feels substantial. The Diamondbacks are 16-17. The Dodgers are 15-20 versus these 5 other teams. And the Brewers are a putrid 9-14 versus the rest of the NL.
Let me get this straight.
So basically the Phillies are winning the World Series. We're back. That's where I'm going. All right?
Forget the AL.
Yeah. Forget that team.
Okay, so despite all the issues that people had with the Phillies only beating teams under 500, non-playoff teams, of all the teams across the National League in Major League Baseball, the Phillies have the best record against NL playoff teams. So
you heard that correct.
Everybody that's a non-Phillies person that was complaining about the Phillies' schedule and their weak schedule and how they were beating up on bad teams, look at the Dodgers. Who else? The Brewers were low. Who else was under 500? The Diamondbacks. Yikes.
It's really impressive to think about all that stuff in the context of, wow, the Phillies just played some of the worst baseball. That felt like watching 2015 Phillies baseball the last 6 weeks.
And we survived.
And they survived, not only in the standings, but, in those types of teams above 500 win percentage versus playoff team win percentage, all of that
The
stuff.
Phillies were under 500 from the All-Star break, substantially. It was like I can't remember. I lost the number, but significantly under 500.
And now they
still held on to the NL lead and are still the top team in the NL, not even just the NL East.
They are tied with the Dodgers for most wins. See you, fellas.
Hi, guys.
Most wins, both have 79, best in baseball. So really impressive stuff when you think about how bad it's been. And they're still, putting up some pretty impressive numbers there.
And the encouraging thing I know I keep going back to, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the reality, is that the Phillies needed this rut. At some point, they were going to have a fall and a drop off and a regression, and how amazing they started out the season. They were putting up these historic numbers, best since the modern era started. And so at some point, they were going to hit a wall. And if this was their wall, I'd rather it be now. And they still were able to lose a substantial amount of games and still maintain the lead, especially after the All-Star break. When you look at everybody's splits were down for the most part, pitching staff, bullpen, overall team record. They were losing games, but they were still holding on enough to be able to maintain this lead. And then this series now, I think, is that turning point. I think this is the moment you can really look at, because we've been saying the Phillies are back. But if they can win this series after what we've seen from Game 2 against the Marlins, the Nationals, the Royals, the Astros, you win this series against the Braves, it really sets you up nicely going into what will then be 25 games left in the regular season.
Yes. And let's take a break, and then we'll get into Christopher Sanchez tonight, because outside of a couple pitches, I think he was kind of good, except Matt Olson was very, very good. But I want to tell you about some friends of ours here at PHLY, and that's your neighborhood hardware place. Yes, Ace Hardware. I love Ace Hardware stores. I've been going there for a long time because my dad taught me, don't go to one of those big box stores. Like, nobody there knows what they're talking about, and they can't really help you. Go to Ace, and there's probably 6 retired contractors working in the store, hanging out, having a great time. And not only can they answer every question, but they're there when you have a question, when you walk in the door, what can I help you with? It's the best service. Now, that same service you get in-store can come directly to your front door with their home services department. Got a leaky pipe? Ace Hardware Home Services has got the guy. Got an air conditioning issue? They got a guy. Or a girl. I don't know who it is, but they got somebody for you. Got a faucet you said you were going to get to last fall and never got around to? Ace has got a guy. So from plumbing to heating to air conditioning to cooling, whatever the problem may be, Ace Hardware is bringing helpful home. The helpfulness you love from the store, now right to your front door. So go to AceHardwareHomeservices.com and visit your Ace Hardware Home Services online, and you can get started right away on your next project. Ace is the best, so why not bring them to your house to fix the stuff idiots like me can't handle? Ace, they're the best.
Achoo!
Gesundheit.
I don't actually have a sneeze, but if I did, I would go to Rite Aid.
Is that your best fake sneeze? I think you can do better.
Achoo! No, I can do better. I have like too much on me right now with this headset. But with our friends over at Rite Aid, if you really had an actual sneeze and weren't pretend sneezing like myself, but thank you for the bless you, you could go to Rite Aid for any fall allergies that you may have. They've got everything you need to be able to prepare for the pet dander and fur, the dust mites, the tumbleweed, the pigweed, the sagebrush, whatever is causing your allergies to flare up right now in this time of season, from August all the way through November. With Rite Aid and their fall allergy line that they have of medications, over-the-counter products, you can make sure to stay ahead of it. They have what you need, the nasal rinses and sprays. They have decongestants just to make sure you can feel good. And as we're enjoying baseball, the start of the NFL season, the start of college football, the start of fall sports in general, you want to make sure you can enjoy it outside, be outside, guys, and not have to worry about the runny nose, the sniffles, the coughing, the watery eyes. Do you want to be at the tailgate sneezing and coughing? No. Do you want to be at Citizens Bank Park cheering on the Phillies and coughing? No. And so with Rite Aid, they also have tons of tips for you. They've got their Rite Aid rewards. You can sign up for those emails at riteaid.com/rewards to receive those emails on pollen alerts and other tips. Things such as using a dehumidifier, wearing a protective mask if you're out doing some gardening. If you want to be able to check pollen counts, Rite Aid has all the tips for you. They've got great pharmacists ready at their Rite Aid locations to provide you with all the insights that you need to find the correct medications and the correct ways to feel good. Rite Aid has their LO Market, which gives you pantry items and snacks. They've got the refreshing drinks, such as their coconut water to keep you hydrated, and also all the fall allergy medications to keep you feeling good. So with our friends at Rite Aid, all the convenience you need in a store at Rite Aid, where you can make sure to stay up to date, feeling good with everything you need with our friends over at Rite Aid. Do you hear this song?
Yeah, don't sing it.
It's bumping here at Top Tomato. They have some great music.
Off.
I'm not going to sing the song because I sound just like Sean Paul. What's up, Tim?
Tim Bro Slice.
Thanks for coming to hang out. See ya.
So the update on Alec Bohm for
Die-hard
Rob
member Tim in the house.
Thompson. X-rays are negatives. Phillies are going to reevaluate him tomorrow. So no real clarity there whatsoever. We just got to hope internally some kind of ligament or something didn't. Hopefully it just tweaked it, and maybe it's a couple days off, and just ice it up and go to Rite Aid and take care of it. Take some ibuprofen and call it a night. Hopefully he wakes up tomorrow.
I don't want to speculate and put on my doctor hat of what it could be, but I don't love the way that it happened. But I'm not going to do it.
You should never go to WebMD.
Oh my! WebMD always has you dying, about to lose a limb.
Yeah, so we're not going to have Dr. Washington diagnose Alec's wrist on air.
No.
Intriguing to anybody else that Jeff Hoffman closed this out instead of your closer?
No.
No?
No.
No?
No.
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 I think it was I think it was mildly something to make a note of.
You feel like it had to be Carlos Estevez?
I mean, he has been your closer since he arrived.
But he's not like locked in as the absolute closer. It's still closer by committee,
That's the wiggle room that they have.
Yeah, like it's still the flex of being able to sometimes put somebody else in that space. It doesn't have to be Carlos. It can be Jeff.
Sure. And sometimes these things are little looks into a manager's mind.
Well, this is
and Carlos Estevez has been solid. I don't want to say he's been bad or anything, but it's been, okay. I wouldn't say it's like I have the most confidence in the world in Carlos Estevez.
Okay.
Estevez. So I did kind of, my ears kind of went, oh, or eyebrows or lack thereof went, oh, it's Jeff Hoffman. It's cousin Jeff tonight. That's interesting. After you make your point, I want to get Tyler's there because maybe Rob Thompson just trusts Jeff Hoffman the most. He has more equity with him. They've been through more battles together. Estevez is, still new here and doesn't. This was a huge game.
It was.
So the reason I bring it up is because it was almost a playoff level game. I'm going to keep my eye on that over the next couple of weeks. Now, Estevez will probably get back to getting the opportunities, I'm sure. I don't think this is, but I am curious now. That seed has been planted in my mind. Is cousin Jeff Hoffman the most trusted guy in that bullpen?
I think that, to be honest, I'm not trying to overanalyze every move. The vibe I get is it's to keep guys fresh, to keep guys competing, and to also play the matchups. So
freshness, they were all fine because Wednesday was a wash.
Yeah, but you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So I think, to be honest, in this moment, it was, I love this song too. This place has great music. I can't work here. I think, to be honest, Jeff Hoffman is trusted. We know he's been in game-closing situations as a traditional closer, and the Phillies can turn to him. And I do think, to your point, it's not only just about trusting Jeff more, but it's also, what if you need Jeff to step in as closer come playoff time? So
it could be a little bit of that.
In this moment, it's only
Wet
August,
his beak a little
28 games left. Right, exactly. I think that's why I say keep guys fresh, even in that sense of you don't know who you're going to need down the line. Orion, Jeff, Matt, you never know who you're going to need outside of Carlos Estevez. And just in general for this bullpen, I think it's to continue putting them in a variety of situations. They've been
You're probably
closer
right.
By
That
committee.
Is probably realistic.
Correct.
But my brain doesn't work that way.
Seth is saying I'm also correct. Thank you, guys. They've been closer by committee, and I think it's mixing and matching guys to let them see different looks, different points of the game,
You're
different
probably
matchups.
correct. Definitely. Tyler,
so I don't mind it.
Am I reading too much into a calendar turning to September close playoff atmosphere situation?
I think so. I will ask you this though. When you ask the question about most trust,
there he is.
Yeah, we'll do it eventually.
Oh, no, I was actually just trying to look at you. I didn't know if you were on
Jamie's going
YouTube.
Again, I got to be careful with
I'm
the
like-
TV behind me.
See, I have 20/20 vision. I can clearly see
I got
you.
old.
What's your
So-
vision?
Where are you, Sonny?
My question is, are you asking, does Rob Thompson feel the most confident
Yes.
in Jeff Hoffman, or
Yes.
do I feel the most confident
No,
in Jeff
I
Hoffman?
think I personally
Because-
do, and you might as well. I'm asking if Rob Thompson feels the most confident in Jeff Hoffman.
It's a good question, because the answer to the latter question, I think Jeff Hoffman's the best relief pitcher in this bullpen. I think he's been all year.
I think so, too.
The addition of Carlos Estevez was great for this team, but I do believe if you ask me who is the single best pitcher in this bullpen, I believe it's Jeff Hoffman. With that being said, I think there's a little bit of everything you guys just brought up, and then I would add add this. I think Jeff Hoffman's stuff is better than Carlos Estevez's stuff.
So do I.
So I'm curious to see a battered, bruised, and beaten up Braves team. Team still can hit.
Yeah.
Sure, they've been a pain in the ass.
My question is, are you a team that has seemingly been really good at battling counts, and a team that we know can hit fastballs, no matter who's on that roster? This team is a team that can hit fastballs.
Ugh, Matt Olson.
Knowing that Carlos Estevez is a guy that is kind of contact driven and throws a lot of strikes, and is somebody who is subject to
Tyler doesn't think I'm crazy.
subject to hard contact at any given point.
I never thought you were crazy.
I don't think you're right in saying that it's a closer change. I
don't think it's that, but
I
it's
think
a
it's
seed
I think
planted.
I think it's a situational movement that Jeff Hoffman's stuff is, to me, better than Estevez. And in a situation where you felt that you needed the win, you wanted the guy with the best stuff.
And I also
let's
think-
just mark this. So in 4 weeks from now, when Jeff Hoffman is the playoff closer, we can look back on it and cut it
Jeff
and be
Hoffman
like,
being
Jamie's
the playoff
brilliant.
closer. Because I think, and I know in the chat you guys are talking about Taiwan Walker, clearly the best
Oh,
bullpen arm right now.
boy.
And Lisa's saying we need a Walker conversation. We'll get there. But I do think with the bullpen, the luxury that the Phillies have that a lot of teams wish they had, and we know this, I'm just going to state the obvious. When you have Orion, Matt, Jeff,
was great
Carlos, even Jose when he's on his game, you have the options there. So you have the struggles where, like, the lefty hitters have a higher slugging percentage this year versus the Phillies bullpen than any other bullpen across Major League Baseball. But Jose Alvarado's been the best versus the lefties. And so you have him to go up against lefties. You have, as you talked about, Tyler, the stuff. Okay, how Carlos pitches, how he gets his saves is a little different than Jeff Hoffman. So I think when they talk about closer by committee, it's essentially you want to be able to keep guys ready for whatever the game may hold. And I could see it leaning more on Jeff because we do trust him more. He's proven himself from last year to this year. He's also emerged with the consistency. Carlos Estevez took a regression, unfortunately, when he came to the Phillies and started blowing saves.
That's about right for the Phils.
Sounds accurate. So I think it is also just keep them dialed in and locked in, that whenever your name is called, stay ready so you don't have to get ready, as the saying goes. You never know come playoff time. And I think everything we're going to see from tomorrow moving forward is to prepare for the playoffs. It's not even just about closing out the regular season. It's about preparing for who you might need, where you might need them, and situationally, strategically, come right October.
And by the way, guys, statistically speaking, Carlos Estevez has been good this year since coming to the Phillies. He's got a 2.3 ERA and 11 starts.
He's been good.
He got hit around that game in Washington a little bit. It kind of inflated the ERA a little bit. 10 strikeouts and just under 12 innings pitched. But like we've talked about, we know he has a hard hit rate. We know that he throws a lot of strikes. We know that he throws really, really hard. So the book on Carlos Estevez is not terribly hard to figure out. So, I think in this particular situation, I think that Thompson may have decided on a stuff factor.
Yeah.
Compared to, is Carlos Estevez still this team's closer? I think he is. I don't think there was anything that merited him not being. I think in this particular game.
Well, I think this was a little bit of a glimpse into Rob's big game soul.
It's possible.
And
it's just a small portion of that.
And so what the people in the chat are saying, and I want to give some love because you guys are having a great conversation in the chat, is yes, the bullpen has struggled too. So
but
nobody's
they've
locked
turned the corner. Orion's
they've
back.
definitely turned the corner.
Orion was great
but
tonight.
also nobody's locked into a guarantee of what they were in the beginning of the season, where like Strom had his scoreless stretch, Hoffman, where you know what you're going to get. It's been shaky. They're coming out of the shakes a little bit, slowly and surely. So yes, the bullpen's been struggling, but I think that's also partly why, just to see the different combinations you can roll with.
The 5 hardest pitches thrown tonight, 3 of them were thrown by Orion Kirkering, 2 of them thrown by Jeff Hoffman. And I only bring it up not to say like some controversies emerge, because what everybody's saying is right, and there's a little bit of a sprinkle of all of it in it. But it's something that I'm going to pay attention to going forward.
I think we should.
Because Jeff Hoffman, to Tyler's point, like when I see his stuff compared to Estevez's stuff, I just think Hoffman's is better.
Yeah.
And if the job is open, you want to figure that out in the next 4 weeks. So there's going to be some tinkering and toying around with it. But really good to see Orion Kirkering on another bullpen note. I don't know what happened, if his arm just got over the dead arm period it was going through. My man is back. He is nasty again, and that is a great thing to see for this team.
I think he just hit a very young wall. That's
he's
expected.
A rookie, yeah.
I mean, he's still a rookie. He's only 23 years old, guys. He was born in 2001. For Orion, we expected that at some point there was going to be some sort of a step back. And we wondered even once from last September. Think about it. It hasn't even been a full season. It was late. It was September last year that we first saw Orion. It is August, guys.
He pitched 8 innings last year before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was even with the playoffs. It might have been 8 innings total.
No, I think it was with.
Yeah,
because we saw him Mets series.
We barely knew him.
It was the Mets series last year in September, which was like the last series that we really started to see Orion. It hasn't even been a full year of him pitching in the majors. So naturally, there's going to be a regression to learn how to be an everyday bullpen arm at the highest level. So I do feel like he's come out of it. We know what he brings. And as you talk about the numbers, like he's been better. The month of August as a whole, he's had a 2.70 ERA. He's also pitched 10 innings this month, and he's had a .225 OBA. Compared to July, which was a 4.09 ERA.
Yeah.
That's where he started.
July was bad for a lot of Phillies.
We saw him give up, actually he hasn't.
Month.
He's given up 2 home runs this month, but he definitely had a drop-off in July where he started giving up runs. He hadn't been giving up runs this season. He had 3 runs given up in May, 2 in June, and then 5 in the month of July, and then has now given up just 3 runs so far in the month of August. So the biggest thing, he doesn't really give up a lot of home runs. He's only given up 2 this entire season. As much as we talk about him dropping off, he's given up 2 home runs. But in the total of all the runs he's given up, it's 13 that he's given up in his entire season, and the majority of those, almost half, came in the month of July. So if he can get back to just throwing strikes, getting outs, yeah, you feel good about what Orion's got.
Yeah, Christopher Sanchez tonight, not his best performance at home by any means, but looking at the advanced numbers on him, he did have 18 swings and misses, which is pretty nice there. I'm not too upset about Christopher Sanchez's performance tonight, because I just think it was one of those nights where Matt Olson is MVP quality. He hit the ball very hard tonight, 110 miles an hour and 106.7 miles an hour. He's a tremendous player. So, Matt Olson kind of killed you. It's one of those nights you can kind of live with from your starting pitcher. The stuff was there, kept you in the game still. So, Sanchi, fine evening, not his best by any means.
Yeah, and listen, Matt Olson with his home runs that he had today.
Wow.
He's
a strong man.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good, to say the least. But I will say, like, when you talk about Christopher Sanchez, this doesn't concern me at all. I still thought it was an okay outing. He got out of it with, as Aaron Nola said, you get out of it with setting your team up for a chance to win the game. And they did win the game, and you didn't do enough damage that caused them to have 8-0 or something like that that they were playing out of. So I think for Christopher Sanchez, back at home, we knew that, and we said it. In the matchup, him versus Charlie Morton, we thought he'd have the upper hand. And although Charlie Morton actually had a pretty good day, to say the least, for Matt Olson, his second home run, he's got 25 on the year, and he was great. It was really that Matt Olson was the main one that got after Christopher Sanchez. But I don't feel like this is something to worry about with Sanchi. This was a playoff type of an atmosphere, playoff type of a matchup, and you just like the fact that he battled through enough to get off the mound, set Orion up, Orion came in right after him, I believe, yes, to set the Phillies up in general to still win the game.
Yeah, a couple other news and notes we talked about in the pregame show, but some of you weren't here hanging out with us. Taiwan Walker going to the bullpen tonight. Maybe if Taiwan had been in the bullpen a little bit longer, he would have had the save opportunity tonight.
Oh.
No? You don't think that's something Rob would have done?
No.
No. Yes, we talked about it earlier.
I don't know
Taiwan,
what he can save at this point.
he becomes your lowest of low leverage spot situations. Probably, hopefully, only going to see him in situations where you're down a bunch and you don't want to burn a bullpen, and it's just like, hey, get out there. I would have preferred to just walk away. I think they will at the year's end for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe just they like him and they want to give him a chance to get back. I don't want to hear about uptick in velo and there's hope that he can turn around. I know an athlete is done when I see it, and he kind of looks done.
My issue is I feel like they're going to try to pinpoint it on it's been an injury-plagued season for him.
Yeah,
he was on the
that's what I'm
IL twice.
That's what I'm fearing.
He's a little bit older. It took him some time to settle in.
I don't want to see
pressure.
him in the bullpen.
But honestly,
Even
Taiwan Walker.
in a mop-up role.
No. Taiwan Walker has been, unfortunately, one of the areas of this team that's been a consistent weakness. He has not gotten better. In fact, he's getting worse as the season goes on.
He's
going in the wrong
opposite
direction.
Yeah.
And so, I know in the chat you guys were talking about Taiwan Walker and him being in the bullpen. I do feel like he just is essentially replacing Weston Wilson and Garrett Stubbs in the bullpen, where he's going to be the guy that if it's a nice...
Weston Wilson was throwing gas the other night.
He was throwing gas.
I think
he
had
might have a little bit more in the tank than Taiwan.
By the way, did you see Clemson Baseball retweet our tweet?
I did.
Yeah,
Shout out to
that?
Clemson Baseball because they were mentioning, how do you know that can go for a cycle and then get a save all in the same in the same month?
And they tagged Weston Wilson in it, so he probably saw my stupidity
What up,
on
Weston?
Twitter. Yeah. Congratulations on the kid, by the way.
That's another thing. Weston Wilson on top of that had a baby.
Yeah, what a week.
But I will say for Taiwan, what they're probably feeling like is let's take some pressure off of him. He's not ready. He needs more time, quote unquote, and let's get him just focusing on getting back to the basics, getting his, as you mentioned, the velo up, getting his splitter back. But at the end of the day, if you ain't got it, I don't know where you're going to find it. So keep him in the bullpen. But what I really firmly believe, guys, is this is a bandaged situation of them just temporarily putting him there to waste some time while they figure out exactly what they're going to do, because we know the contract, we know the money that's there, and there's a lot of money they have to lose. So I think for them, it's maybe even to figure out what they can get out of him to move on. But for now, Taiwan's in the bullpen, and we'll take it because at least we don't have to see him starting.
Yeah, a couple news and notes here from the Phillies press release after the game. This marks their biggest comeback since June 30th, when they also trailed 4 runs versus the Miami Marlins and came back and won 7-6. So great to see that. Always good to come from behind wins. Nick Castellanos knocked his 12th career go-ahead home run in the 7th inning or later, and first of the season. Last one was last August 1st. He's batting .321 with 3 homers, 9 RBIs, and a .964 OPS across his last 7 games. Now, the question I have for you, Renee, Tuesday hits the big home run, gives the team the chance to win versus the Astros, essentially helps take the series for you. I believe Ben and J-Lo's divorce went final on Tuesday. Does that sync up with bad things happening?
That relationship's been over since they came back together, okay?
Why did they get married? Why didn't they just stay dating? Right? Like the second time? Like, come on, what are you doing?
That's a whole other hour-long conversation.
But does Nick Castellanos get credit for going yard that night?
Somebody had some issues. I don't know if somebody passed away. I feel like there was somebody recently that we heard. You hear our guy Pitbull's been on a lot, by the way.
Mr. Worldwide?
Mr. Worldwide was at 305. No, maybe it was the end of that, the death of that marriage, and that relationship led to Nick charging up. He has... Lately, there must be a lot of bad things going on because he's been pretty charged up pretty consistently.
He's having a great week.
It was great to see. I know they put a stat on the broadcast that since June 17th, it's been 63 games, and everything for Nick has increased. The batting average went up from like 204 to high 2s. All of his numbers, he's been fantastic. And I know we talked about it before. He had coming into today like 11 RBIs in the month of August. He's been someone that has been Nick consistent Castellanos. Whatever has been going on of him just seeing ball, hitting ball, it's working because he's been fantastic to see. Yeah. We've got the post-game interview. I know people are talking about the hat. He's got the CP ranking hat.
With the CPR ranking hat.
Yeah, he's chilling. But in August, his numbers, his splits are 283, 340, 467 with an 807 OPS. And for August so far, he's now got 14 RBIs in the month and 3 homers. He's been special. He's been fun to see. out there just consistently doing his part.
Yes.
Every day, you know what you're going to get from Nick
Nick
Castellanos.
Castellanos, really a brilliant turnaround to the season, no doubt about it. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard here. The Houston Astros are actually trailing the Kansas City Royals in the bottom of the 8th. That Royals series, again, you might look back to as like a turning point for the Phillies. Baltimore Orioles and Dodgers just kicked it off out west. That's tied up 0-0. My Mets friends were not happy with the Phillies tonight because the Mets won. They beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-2, and of course the Mets are chasing the Braves.
Pete Alonso with some history of his
actually,
own.
I'm sorry, I got that text in the 7th inning before the Phillies, so now they're probably happy with the Phillies again.
Right.
Other games of note. Oh, the Marlins Rockies, a game that absolutely no one cares about. That's quite bad.
I got some news.
The San Diego Padres lost tonight, and that's really all the ones of importance here.
No.
Milwaukee beat San Fran. What do you got?
Good old Tommy Pham's been placed on waivers. The Cardinals placed him on
has
waivers.
he?
Yeah, did you see that?
I always found the discussion of the trade deadline of Tommy Pham like, huh?
Bizarre.
Like, you could have signed this guy up through spring training, and now you're going to trade
Correct.
him, and now he's released and on waivers. That's just great.
And then the A's made some history of their own because Lawrence Butler had a fantastic multi-home run night. So the A's became the first team in Major League Baseball history to have one player hit 3+ home runs, Lawrence Butler, and another player collect 5+ hits, J.J. Bleday, and yet lose the game. They lost in the 10th inning, walk-off, loss. And then shout out to our guy, Sam Aldegheri. Got to give him some props. Our buddy, friend of the show.
I retweeted his interview out with us earlier, and I said, good luck.
Because I was excited for him. We had a chance to sit down with Sam during spring training. He was talking to us about his hobbies and his interests and also his, desire to want to show Italy and just represent his country so well. And so he's from Verona, Italy, and he actually became the first pitcher that's born and raised in Italy to get the call up and make his debut on. He's going to get his debut on Friday for the Angels.
Pretty
Not
wild.
with the Phillies, but he's been doing so well with 134 Ks in 95 and a third innings across 2 levels this season. And he's a good kid. Excited to see him. Hopefully not too good against the Phillies in the future.
If you're an Angels fan, that's probably not a great sign on your team. I mean, no offense to Sam
Speaking
there,
of
but
signings for your
you go from
teams.
high A to like double A or triple A with the Angels and then called up. It's like, wow, this team must really suck. Yeah, they do, Sam. So unfortunately, we wish you the best of luck, but the Angels suck as a team.
They do. From
as an
Sam to
organization.
Pham, because Jamie, people in the chat are saying Tommy Pham for the 30 team. Tommy Pham for Taiwan. They're calling for Tommy Pham to the
Well,
Phillies.
to get Taiwan out of here, sure, you got my attention, but
You going Tommy
yeah.
Pham?
no, I think I'm good on that. Anybody? Tommy Pham?
I don't know what that helps
nobody
with.
wants any.
Anyway,
No.
Tommy Pham.
Nobody
going once, going
wants.
twice.
No Phams. Okay. All right, that's going to do it for us here. Couple quick thank yous to Chris and the Top Tomato staff. This place in Center City is absolutely awesome. A great second story with
beautiful.
nothing but windows, so you get some good street viewing. You got a great bar, great beer selection, and of course the best beer to get is just a Miller Lite. And during every Phillies game here, $1 hot dogs, $1 Miller Lites, the best deal in town. So if Center City is convenient for you after work, please come over to Top Tomato. Please order a Miller Lite. And of course, thank you to our friends at Miller Lite and Mora for coming out. Great new koozie to add to the collection. I'm excited
know,
about
you're
this
such a
one.
koozie collector.
I am a koozie because I like to stash them in my golf bag, in my car, in my work bag, in the beach cooler. You just spread them out, and then you get one. And it's like, I had a koozie, and you feel smart.
I'm not about the koozie life, but maybe I need to become more of a koozie gal.
The koozies, they're great. You put them in your pocket, you leave them there. You got koozies everywhere. So thank you to our team at Miller Lite for making this happen and getting us to Top Tomato. And, of course, our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Monumentally huge win tonight for your Phillies. Set yourself up to hopefully take this series from the Atlanta Braves. Let's see, if you go 3-1, we'd be 8 games up at the end of that?
Yeah, good match, Jamie.
That was hard. We're talking about like
gosh.
adding 2 and 3 and subtracting 1.
Wait, they came in. No, they came in 5 games
Yeah.
ahead. So if they
So
take
you'd gain
3 of
2.
them,
So you gained,
You gained
so it'd be
2.
7.
7.
it's still good math. It was close enough.
So close,
I
pal.
can add and subtract.
I was gonna let you rock
the subtraction
because-
stuff gets tricky.
Totally. Up 3 minus 1. 5 plus 3 is 8. Minus 1 is 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. But shout out to Brandon Marsh. I know Brian Tyndale's in the chat. Shout out to you too, Brian, mentioning you may have missed the Marsh conversation. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Fantastic with all the heat we've been passing his way. A great win tonight. Another series opening win and another chance to go not split a series, not lose a series, but to win a series against the Braves.
Let's hope so, because these 4-game coward series are for the birds. But it would be not the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah.
Should be spiraling out of here.
Yeah, we're on our way out of here. I'm fried. Thank you to everybody here at Top Tomato. Thank you to our friends at Miller Lite. And, of course, our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Tyler and I, Renee, enjoy the long weekend. Have a great time. I don't know if you're working or having fun.
I'll be on Anthony's show tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I thought you were taking off the Friday for a long weekend. Renee is going to be in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning on the Anthony Gargano Show. Make sure you're hanging out with her. I heard Tyler may be joining you.
Yeah, it's actually me and Tyler, just not you. It's literally me, Tyler.
Wait, you're not abandoning me at 11, are you?
So tomorrow for Anthony's show, it's literally...
I forgot to tell you.
I
had an option, and this one was way better.
It's actually going to be you by yourself because me, Tyler, and Jim are going to be on Anthony's show.
Okay, all right,
You're
cool.
just not going to be
I'll
there.
just be alone, sucking my thumb, doing a Phillies show, talking to myself. It'll be great.
But we will not be live Monday, so I won't see you guys.
You got to do all the production work and everything too. So
that's gonna be real bad. It's gonna be a stick figure.
Jamie's just gonna be on paint.
And apparently I'm gonna be here Monday morning by myself. Also, working Labor Day like an idiot that forgot it's a 3-day weekend. Yes, but looking forward to that.
You probably would have really came it on Monday.
I probably would have until Addie would have been like, "What do you?" Don't you have off today? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, actually. So check out Renee tomorrow morning on the Anthony Gargano Show.
Bright and early.
Tyler, Jim, I think some others. Andrew told me. Bo.
Yeah, we'll all be on there. Whole crew.
Nice.
Party. It'll be a party tomorrow morning.
I'll be tuning in on my way in, and then Tyler and I will be doing the show at 11, so back at it tomorrow. To everybody we met tonight, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your time. You could spend it anywhere. You spend it with us. We appreciate it. And to everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us on the Phillies postgame show. Huge win. Everybody goes to bed with a Phillies smile on their face tonight, and we will be back at 11 a.m. tomorrow. See you then.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.